Hello everyone, Stranger here, and today I'm kicking off a brand new series called the best class setups for the Black Ops ports. And I'm starting with a gun that has been my personal favorite since these ports launched, and that is the MSMC. But here's the problem, most people either build this gun wrong or play it wrong for what it's actually built to do. And then they end up dying way more than they actually should for a gun that is this strong. So in this video, I'm going to show you the real numbers behind it, the best maps and use cases for it, and exactly how I use this gun to get the most out of it. So let's get onto the class. I'll put it on the screen for you right now. So this class is built entirely around one thing, and that is getting as many kills as possible. Now you guys might have a build of your own that you like, so feel free to share those in the comment section. But for now, we're going to start with the attachments. So first up, we have Quickdraw. So on the MSMC specifically, Quickdraw cuts your aim down sight time by 50%, going from 220 milliseconds all the way down to 110. Now a lot of the time with this class, I'm pushing up right into the enemy spawn, which means that players are spawning right in front of me, and so I need to be quicker than them. Now against someone running an SMG or an AR without Quickdraw, I'm simply going to win that gunfight before they've even had time to react. So secondly, we are running fast mags, and I want to actually explain why I landed on these instead of the extended mag. So extended mags on the MSMC gives you 40 bullets rather than the standard 30, which is only a 10 bullet increase. Now the reload time does not change at all, and considering where you're going to be using this class, having a much faster reload speed means my gun is going to be ready to go again almost instantly, compared to a mere 10 bullets which can get you a maximum of 2 to 3 kills if you're lucky. Now onto the perks, and honestly this took me a while as I tried a fair few alternatives before I settled on this combination. So for perk 1, I'm going to be running 2 perks which are Ghost and Lightweight using the perk 1 greed wildcard. Now Ghost keeps me hidden from UAVs and enemy kill streaks while I'm moving, which is absolutely huge for a rush class, where the whole point is to cover as much ground as quickly and unpredictably as you can, and with that the last thing that you want to be doing is showing up on the enemy's UAV every couple of seconds. And then I have Lightweight, which on top of that lets me run a little bit faster when I want to go from A to B. Now perk 2, I'm running Toughness, which for me is just the standard pick. I run it on all of my classes, full stop. So Toughness affects basically every single gunfight that you get into. What it does is it reduces the amount of flinch that you get when you're hit by an enemy, which means that more of your shots will land where you're actually aiming. And in a close range gunfight, that could be the difference between winning and losing. Now majority of the time, the person that is not running Toughness will lose the gunfight, as the flinch is really bad if you're not running it, and so it can throw your aim off the enemy completely. Now I actually really liked running fast hands for a while because I like to swap to my knife and just run a little bit faster, especially when I'm trying to rush, but it doesn't actually help the class perform much better, and for that reason I'm sticking with Toughness. Now for perk 3, I am running Dexterity and Extreme Conditioning using the perk 3 wildcard. Now Dead Silence is a perk that I did rule out, and the reason being is everyone can already hear pretty much everything going on, especially if you're not running a suppressor. So the actual benefits felt pretty marginal in practice, and not to mention that footsteps in this game are very hard to hear. And then we have Dexterity. This is just a given for this build. It helps you aim down sights faster after sprinting, which for a class that is built around constant movement is absolutely vital. And then on top of that, we have Extreme Conditioning. And I added this because I found myself getting really annoyed having to keep tapping the sprint button every couple of seconds on a class that is this aggressive. So once you're running Extreme Conditioning, that whole problem just disappears and you can get to the enemy spawn and run around the map much quicker. Now you're probably looking at this and thinking, where are my lethals? Where are my tacticals? I am deliberately leaving both of these slots empty, and here's my reason why. Realistically, the only time I would ever use a lethal is as a last resort, or I'm chucking a C4 into a room before pushing in. So a C4 is going to get me 1, maybe 2 kills. And this entire class is built around maximizing kills per life by staying mobile and aggressive. So spending time to cook a frag, throw a Semtex, or yeeting a C4 when I could be pushing in straight away into a gunfight, it just doesn't fit what this class is actually built to do. And the same goes for the tacticals. They're mostly a utility pick, and this build is not about utility, it's about speed. So let's actually get into the real numbers behind this gun, because I think this explains a lot about why it plays the way it does. So under 13.75 meters, the MSMC deals 40 damage per bullet, which is a 3-shot kill. And between 13.75 and 27.5, that drops to 33 damage, which is a 4-shot kill. And between 27.5 meters and 37.5 meters, it drops again to 22 damage, which means it is now a 5-shot kill. And any distance after that, it becomes a 6-shot kill. So what that tells you practically is that this gun is an absolute monster at close range with a 3-shot kill, but it really does fall off at long range. So that is exactly why this class is built entirely around staying aggressive and close rather than trying to make it work at long range. Now in terms of where this class actually shines, it's really good on the smaller maps like Nuketown, Hijacked, and Drone, where there are tight corners, close engagements, and there are short sightlines, as you're basically always inside that 3 to 4 shot kill window on the maps that are this size. But it also holds up pretty well on medium-sized maps. It's not just a small map gun, you can absolutely take it on something like Raid, Meltdown, or Standoff, and it will still perform. You just need to be a little bit smarter about when and where you're pushing versus when you're holding an angle. So on the bigger, more open maps like Turban and Carrier, I would honestly just stay away from this gun, since that damage drop-off works against you really quickly. And these maps are just much better suited for an assault rifle or an LMG or a sniper. Right, so let's get on to how to actually use this class. But before that, I have a quick tip for you. If you want to win more gunfights, you should be jump shotting. Now, drop shotting used to be really good back in the day on the older CODs. Your gun would not move at all when you dropped, but in this game, your gun sways a little bit and it's enough to throw off your bullets. So jump shotting doesn't have that problem, and your character actually strafes slightly when you are jumping, which makes you an even harder target to hit. But you can take it one step further, and this next bit is the thing that makes this whole class unbeatable. Now, holding angles works well with the MSMC, and so does pushing completely blindly, which is what I love about this gun. It's flexible enough that you can play however you like. You can play aggressive, a bit more patient, and it will hold up either way. But here is the technique that I actually use the most, and that is sprinting into a corner, jumping, and going prone in the air. It sounds simple, but it's so overpowered. Now, you're coming around that corner at a completely different height and speed than what anyone is expected. And as you can see in the clips, it's working really, really well. And the reason being is people are used to reacting to a normal corner peek, and instead of that, you are dropping to the floor mid-air before they've even processed where you've come from. Now, for my score streaks, I am running the UAV, the Lightning Strike, and the VSAT, and each one feeds into the next. So first is the UAV, because it's cheap, easy to get, and it shows you exactly where the enemies are straight away. That alone massively helps with a rush class like this one, because you already have a rough idea of where the fights are going to happen, and therefore you can choose to either hold an angle or try the jump strat. Lightning Strike is next, and this lets me get a quick ping on the enemy's position and pick up a couple of extra kills, which then helps me on the way to the big one, the VSAT. And honestly, the VSAT is genuinely one of the most powerful things in this game. It shows you where enemies are at all times, no matter what, even if a player is running Ghost. And because this class is all about racking up kills quickly, chaining these three together allow us to do that, as it helps us to get an idea of where the enemies are whilst getting a few kills on the way. Now, this was the exact gun that I used to run back in 2012 when this game first came out. And honestly, it was just ridiculous back then. Probably one of the most overpowered guns in the entire SMG class. And playing it on these ports again feels identical, so I cannot tell you how happy I am that these games got re-released. And a huge shout out to Iron Galaxy for making this a reality. They are really putting some effort into this with the patches and all of that stuff. Now, amazing as this class is, I want to be honest about where it struggles. The weakness here, if you haven't guessed already, is range. So once you get out of medium to long range, this class starts losing fights against assault rifles, especially something like an AN-94, which is honestly one of the best, if not the best gun in the entire game right now. This is a close range monster, and trying to push it into fights outside of that range is where you're going to get punished. So that's the full breakdown, and if you came into this video wanting a quick loadout, I hope you're leaving with a lot more than that. So give it a go, let me know how you get on with it in the comments, and if you're running a different variation that works for you, drop it down below as well. I really want to see what you guys are using. Also, let me know which gun you would like me to cover next. And so if you enjoyed this, make sure you drop a like, and if you really liked it, make sure you are subscribed, because there is a lot more of these coming. And one more thing, do not forget this: Jesus is king. He is the one and only savior. So repent and believe in the gospel. I will see you in the next one.